What's up, family? I come at peace, and I come with, simple structure. You know what I'm saying, y'all? But I'm gonna give y'all this video on the day I return back to the world to help the ones who need it, y'all. Because I don't, go out and tell no one it's my birthday. Because I like to live knowing that every day is a day where I feel satisfied, truly knowing that I am peaceful, But the goal is to stay calm, live with peace, and to live knowing that there's no rush, because there's no point in worrying about nothing, y'all, if you're not where you should be, The goal is to maintain your composure, right? And check yourself, man. Check yourself and know what I need to fix about myself, man. What is it that I want to see in others that I don't yet have in myself, People, the only thing that limits their brain from, trying to take in more energy, y'all, or say they want a purpose, but they can't see that. Well, that's because the things they endure daily, it might not be something that's inspiring, or you just might not feel motivated, because even if you are motivated today, you might not feel that way tomorrow, family. You must find something that motivates you in this world, man. Whether there's something you want to, preserve yourself for, which is, like I say, you're waiting for the right one, or you just want something out of life that you feel like you always wanted, But one thing I'm going to tell y'all is something that motivated me was knowing that when I used to walk, or when I was at a state in my life when I had to, that right there made me improvise, made me brainstorm, made me check off the bubbles that, weren't checked. So I had to check myself and start saving, funds early on, or just try to start something that only I could do, because if you ain't in my shoes, or you wasn't with me, you couldn't really, comprehend my story to where because for someone who has it harder, y'all, well, that is what turns them into a monster, or what makes them, rely on only them, because you can't help the world. The only thing you could do is be something in the world and make others, feel some type of way to where they don't like being just normal, like, everybody that's around them, Because like it or not, y'all, even if you were to step out your comfort zone and live uncomfortable for a while, well, you are still going to get everything you wanted as long as you be that way, Uncomfortability, y'all, is a drug. It's just like being on heroin, or meth, because you see a reality to where you feel like what you are doing now is going to give you everything when you are just waiting for something, right? But you waiting is never going to get you anything, because you're hoping in your mind, figuring out a way to where you feel subtle or just okay with knowing that, I'm living peacefully. But you don't want to feel that way forever, family, because hard work is gained through progression, A glow, y'all, a glow is only, a glow because you took time to glow, You couldn't just glow tomorrow after you do the wrong things, or you harm yourself, because glowing is showing all the hard work you have put into yourself, man. So every time you feel like you couldn't get through it, or the days you struggled, well, that reminds you of what all added to your glow and to why you have it now, right? So don't take advantage of the glow, but be humble to a point where you know that the glow is something that you have earned because of the, adversity, and the more and more days you stay true to you, because you don't have to prove it to nobody. You don't have to talk to nobody. All you have to do is talk to yourself, because you are your biggest ally, If you see something that you want, y'all, I tell you time and time again, there ain't nobody gonna help you get it, because they don't see it like you. And they shouldn't help you get it, y'all, because Even if they, was to, how's that gonna benefit them when this is your life, right? This is your reality, y'all. So you shouldn't want to help nobody. Not saying that you can't, but you should expect that, knowing that nobody's gonna help you, right? Because that's the world we live in today, family. When everybody just, hoping that, someone offers them something when you ain't even offering yourself a better reality. So you're living in, sloth, or just, purgatory, man. So where you feel like gluttony and all that shit's gonna help you, but that's just that's lust, man, and that shit kills you faster than anything outside of you, man. Because comfortability is pretty much death. You're okay with never changing, and that's a cycle you must eradicate, y'all. But for all my men who are staying true to them, humble down to earth, but are moving out of action and moving with the drift that's driving. Like I say, driving with your drive, because no one can break your purpose, your passion, or the reason you came down here to be. If you started young, well, no one can dictate how they feel about you. The only thing to do is pour out insecurities and try to look at you like them, because they don't even know how you feel in this moment you're living in. They don't have over years of built up energy within their body to make them feel like they're even connected to source, y'all. Because most people in this world, y'all, they can't defeat that ego. Instead, they let all the things that surround them, like I say, haunt them. So they start treating everything like shit, because they feel like they're forced to live in a body that they are not truly satisfied in. Because if they were, they would be living instead of decaying slowly, But the only thing I could tell is try to be humble always, man. Don't go into a world trying to prove a point to nobody, y'all, because you shouldn't want to do that, y'all. All you want to do is rely on your power, which is to speak through your tongue. Be somebody for someone, But for whoever has a birthday in November or late October's, man, well, you can feel me the most, y'all, because it's not the water that connects us, but it's just the underestimated we become. People will treat you like you ain't nothing, or they'll just laugh at you to your back, but smile to your face, because, like I say, the devil wants to deceive you in any way he can, or try to, right? Try to. But if you are one step ahead or many steps above those layers, well, you already seen that. You play dumb to know how dumb you were once you were dumb. Because if someone's dumb and they're trying to play someone who's dumb, y'all, well, you can't, correct them, because it's gonna start war. You want to let them burn themselves away, because it's gonna hurt the person or the people that thought they knew you when they really truly never knew you. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Because that's them. That's how they feel, That's how they chose to treat you. You can't do nothing for the people that never seen it in you, y'all. The only thing you can do is, move on and let them be. You know what I'm saying? Fuck what they on and fuck what they going through, because that's them. It ain't got shit to do with me, because my life is all about how I contradict myself and how I, present energy to others. If you're not only helping somebody else, well, then you're bringing them down in any way possible. So you gotta get the fuck away from those type of people, y'all, because those people, they ain't got nothing going on for them, Nobody's above you, so you shouldn't be worshiping anybody like a god unless you want to worship yourself that way, because ain't nobody else gonna help you in this world, You want to pray to God, you want to ask for protection, but you will never feel protected or truly close to, God, because If you ain't gonna act out of peace and holiness, y'all, well then your spirit's gonna irritate you when you try to become better, because you ain't trying to act healed, or you ain't just trying to simply be healed in order to where your pain creates your resolution, to where you eradicate conflict any way you can. You won't I'm not gonna blame the people who don't get this message up, because their mind frame ain't expanded on life, because life takes energy to grasp these concepts or these, like I say, storylines. But the best thing about life is living it, right? But you want to live it knowing you feel good. Life is not life, y'all, if you feel forced to wake up and you don't like the problems, or just getting shit done because you're in a rush to do it, y'all. And that leads me to, why patience is everything, y'all. Patience not only helps you keep yourself in check, but it reminds you that if the ones around you ain't feeling that way about you and about them, let's just say you have a girlfriend, or reverse operations, you have a guy, y'all, or he's always rushing you to get shit done. He's telling your ass to hurry up and go to the store and get things, or your female is trying to throw out emotional distress on you, or just trying to argue with you for no reason. Well, that respect you have for yourself is gonna not irritate you, but it's gonna make you feel like, man, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna just straight bounce, because I ain't got time for that. That emotional tug of war, and that's how you inspire someone to make them figure out, why the fuck am I acting this way? Because if they don't, well, they're always gonna feel down knowing that you ain't give a fuck, because you rose above it. You've been through too many of those tribulations to feel limited or submerged in someone else's, if you want to call it, bucket of guilt. That's why I say, man, if you really know your worth, man, don't settle for less, and don't aim too high. Just aim to what you see yourself as, and not saying go into a world and try to look for it. No, you just want to live your life and simply do things that you gotta do, not in hoping, but of being someone, and remind yourself that it is what it is. So if they come in or if they don't, it doesn't matter to me, because I found the key, which was in me the whole time, right? And you don't ever want to help people that don't want to hear this message, because you're on two different standpoints of life, man. Y'all both living, yes, consciously, physically, but one is bettering themselves up, and one's slowly, like I say, just waiting until their time is. Because if you love yourself, y'all, well, you're gonna try to live life the best way you can, which means you're gonna do everything you can to keep you here longer, because you want to live, right? You love life. Well, life is still when you are not in these bodies. You just can't perceive that kind of intellect or that power yet, because you haven't felt how it feels to die, because you haven't died yet in this body you're equipped with, right? So, you know, that's why I try to praise this message, man, with simplicity, and just straightforwardness. Please don't chase others, man, to where you look at yourself as a lesser being, because everybody who became something, or people who you look up to, or once like you and are still like you, when they go back to those times that they were looked upon as someone who ain't nothing, you're gonna have everything, but you must be it first. You must be checked in yourself, man. Check all the boxes that you don't yet feel yourself as you walk in, To look good outside or on the outside is to feel good on the inside, Now that's the only way. Whether you found love, whether you live with peace, or whether you just use that pain to fill you up. Because As someone like myself, y'all, I don't really look back onto the problems that were in the past. I just look at the shit I've been through or how people have treated me to make me feel like it's a good thing that God chose me to never be like them, to where I feel like I gotta scoop so low to treat others like I ain't nothing. So I'll see them as nothing, you know, because I see myself as everything. I see myself not arrogant, but simple, humble, with a confident altitude. Because I won't say I'm confident, and I won't, say I'm not afraid of you, but I'm also gonna live to where I know that I'm not, because I don't have to tell you that. I'm just gonna be myself quietly, coldly, and like I say, strategically, because it doesn't got nothing to do with you. Not saying that I'm arrogant, it's just the way of a survivor is gonna live knowing how to survive instead of trying to show you, because it's one of the traits that everybody should know if you are true to your inner being, But yes, family, like I said this again, shout out to all the Scorpios, because, and I'm not just saying, everybody's a Scorpio if they can. Well, no, let me take that back. Not everybody's a Scorpio, but everybody possesses that water element within them, So you can tap into this message if you are on your, emotional side, to where you have control over it, But for the ones who are actually Scorpios in this lifetime, well, I give my hats to you, man, and I respect you the most, because you know how it feels to think about something before you do it. You're just not gonna rush out and just, speak your mind or talk your shit, because then again, you haven't been in a situation to where you know how the fuck is this gonna go out, or you're one step ahead thinking, because you're using your brain to act for you instead of knowing what you gotta do, because there's just no point, Remember, the quietest person, like they say, is the strongest person. Not because he's quiet, but because he knows that there's no point in me giving out excessive energy when I gotta keep it in myself to protect me. Remember, y'all, you don't want to speak your mind or try to impress no girl. Fuck that. Because then she's gonna like you for this clout, or for this, if you want to say celebrityism you might obtain or might have already, You want someone that's gonna like you because you're a hard worker, but you don't have to say that. You want someone who's gonna see you for the things that you have never backed down from. Whether it is, people try to hurt you or they try to fuck with you, but you just laugh at them and still be yourself, because I don't live through tests. I live through observation, and I live through problems that I have defeated in the past. Let's just say you lost everything, or you're a loner to where you don't need nothing, but because you was giving that, well, that shit's strong in your plot armor, because if I have no one and I don't need no one, well, then all I need is this camera, or all I need is the things that is giving me the power to be something, because maybe I can help you out for the ones who already have things, but just to help you amplify onto that, right? And that's what I'm trying to say, family. Life is never gonna stop, because you're still living today, and you're gonna keep on existing on other places of the realms that you may not have yet to experience. You just can't be a simple brain or a minded person. You must be willing to accept that there are things that I don't know, that I will never know everything, but I'm willing to sit down and learn something, because arrogant people are gonna feel like what they have in their brain gives them, stability. You're just limiting yourself to becoming more aware, and awareness is what keeps your body living, because to be aware is to be alive. But that's why I say, family, this video is to remind you that you don't always gotta view my being. Yes, you can still see me physically, yo, but the message is what's more important. Knowing thyself and the darkness. Who are you? And if you are smoking that weed like Dorfin, man, ain't no problem with that. Smoke it because it reminds you of how magical and majestic that being of a plant is, you know, to turn your brain into a conscious, you know, you're not say weapon, but a brain gainer, because you start thinking differently when you are gaining that reactive, you know, if you want to say information, because the plant is what gives you reactive, because you already have those, if you want to say, abilities within you, y'all. It just amplifies you and gets you there faster instead of going into a meditative state, because you become peaceful. You start living with an open brain, or you just like chasing that peace that it gives you. That's why it's made illegal, y'all, because people don't want you being peaceful. They want you living in chaos, problems, and just the void. They don't want you out that fucking void. They want you to live in hell, because then it creates hell into your reality. So where more people are acting that way, and that's what keeps this globe, or, you know, that zombie fight warfare existing. This shit wouldn't exist in your reality if you were living with peace and harmony, because then the people who live that way are gonna get the fuck away from you. And that just shows you who people are without them even telling you anything, because it was never you, it was them, you know, and it will always be them. You're not cold, or you're not, you know, a heart that's to be taken for granted either. You're just someone that's gonna be real, and I'm gonna tell you to your face, if you weren't on the camera, you got a problem, because it's not about being bold, it's about being honest. You know, the soul can't lie to another soul, because the soul is what makes y'all two react to where y'all feel each other shoes, you know? You can't feel another person, y'all, if they're not truly getting the message the way you are, because like they say, birds of a feather will always fly together, you know? But this video is power, and I would never stop preaching how powerful this, you know, message is, because then again, when I turn on the light, y'all, you will see the glow. You will see the hard work and all this victorious I have endured from. I remain victorious, y'all, because nothing could define me or say this or that, you know. I will crush you with my spiritual pressure, man. Like King Eisen has said himself, man. Trust nobody, but trust the power you are being granted with. Even if you're powerless now, day by day, the energy you let from within scatter around your body eventually will scatter around your reality, man. Bigger than states, you know, bigger than this fucking whole world, to where the world has no other choice but to bend to you without physically being around you, because that's how much of your light impacts this bitch, you know? You know how the sun impacts the world, y'all? Without the world, or let's just say without the sun directly shining on the world, this bitch would be Ice Age, or it would be the Cold War era, to where everybody's gonna have to survive off of fasting and shit like that, or simply just, I'm not gonna say plants, because without the sun, there's no photosynthesis, so nobody could truly live without light, because that's who you are, you know? So that's why I say, man, just imagine there was no sun, but if you are the sun, that's what you obtain, y'all. Well, all the energy that stays within you, y'all, is what's making you become some sunlight, because that light is shining from within you, outside of you, man. And that's how you will have the ability to pull others in like a magnet, because you are so magnetic. You just probably don't realize it, or you might, depending on the attention you are giving, or just how people want to fuck with you, hold doors open for you, give you shit for free, or they just want to be your friend, or they just like talking to you because you're attractive and you're making them feel like, damn, I want to be that way too, right? Because you don't have to talk, y'all. You just gotta shine your light, just like how the sun shines without talking to anybody, right? But it still impacts the whole fucking world, y'all, because everybody feels good when it's a day for the sun, or should I say a sunny day on that sun day, because there wouldn't be no days to exist on this world if there wasn't even a sun, you know? Not saying that you need it, because you have those within you, chromo suns. It's just the world wouldn't be what it is today. There wouldn't even be solar panels, or just electricity would be almost impossible to work with, because the sun is true, like I say, solar energy, man. But you must be a smart motherfucker to understand what the reality is around you, because most people are living like this shit is a game. People act like characters in a game, and that's why, you know, they ain't something, because like they ain't taking life seriously by the balls, you know. But I'm getting close to the end of this video, man. All I wanted to show y'all was a different perspective on life, man. I could get deeper than the waters below, but the light inside of you is what gives you inner peace. It gives you calmness, and it reminds you that that's third loss, you know, for everybody, for everything. You know, just say, you know, your family don't fuck with you, don't diss them, or don't also kiss them, but just stay away, become a lone wolf. And not saying be disrespectful to them, no, just live your life knowing that you can't change their minds, because they'll never see life like you. You know what I'm saying? You will never see life like them. That's why everybody in this world is different. But that differential, you know, comparison is what, you know, let's just say it creates mysteriousness or mystery. You become a, like I say, almost of like an investigator type, to where there's a case on you, but they can't solve it, man, because they don't feel the way you do, man. Internally, they don't know how you feel. All they do is see a glow, so they think, how can I get that? Oh, I don't fuck with him, he thinks he's too good. But you love yourself too much to feel like people are worth your time, because you worked hard to get there. So that's what I remind y'all, family. Just keep working on yourself day by day. You don't need nothing or nobody. If you see somebody with all these cars, or someone's fucking all these women, or vice versa, cheating on cheating, yo, well, don't take their, you know, problems and try to be like them. Be like yourself, man, because God created you differently. So be you, and you will, you know, get things that are for you. You know, you will have the world in your hands. But yeah, family, remember, even if it's dark outside, or the sun shines through my body, and that's why I'm glowing just like the sun, you know, whole body, you know, not just my face, whole body, every part of my being. Because even if I was lying to y'all now, well, then the glow is something I can't lie about, because even if I didn't want it, I'm gonna have it, you know, because that shows and signifies defiance. It shows you calmness, man, and it just shows you that I'm a being that doesn't have to try hard. There's so many tryhards in this world, y'all, because they can't exist without trying to bang something, or they just can't exist without being recognized, because people, they crave attention, or they just crave shit that serves no purpose, man, which is futile. But for the ones that get this message, man, no matter how philosophical or you know, somewhat of an informational person that you might crave, it doesn't get no deeper than trying to be something better for you, man. Realizing that that's why I'm here. And I'm not here to live for them, but I'm here to live for me and to live better than yesterday. Because I can't be here on this world every day, you know. I don't want to live forever. but I also want to live a damn near good life while I'm here, you know? Because, you know, God's telling me and showing me that you are living now. So make sure every day you live is with peace, with action, and with harmony. Because if you was to go back to where you were before you were here, y'all, you want to know that you lived a good life and you remained as of a character you want to be. Because in this world, I can't change you, and I can't change myself to be someone that I don't want to be, you know? But that's power, y'all. You know, like I say, happy birthday to myself, man. You know, I don't need nobody to tell me that. I'm just happy knowing that the more and more, you know, that number raises up. I don't want to go off of it, but it is what it is, you know? I like to think of it like the more older I get, the more aware I become, the more information my body will be able to obtain, and the more lighter I get. Not light with the body, because yes, you become light, you become built, but you also increase your light, man. You increase your aura, and that's how you know, your spiritual pressure speaks for you, y'all, because it demands respect, because you're walking with full of it, you know, family. But just know this, y'all, before I get out this video, this glow right here should inspire the ones who lack it, or the ones who want it but can't yet battle any urges, or can't get the fuck out of gluttony, sloth, or lust. Because if you don't live, you know, fully, y'all, which means live organically, live with knowing things that you know that aren't right, eradicate, because it's gonna hold you back, and it's gonna waste time or your precious years that you want to be something. So I remain humble, I stay calm, and I wish myself a damn near happy birthday, because I feel amazing. You know, I feel really good knowing that I don't need nothing. I don't want handouts. I want money, but I want to know that I earned this money, because ain't nobody else gonna help me get it. You know, the car I have, everything I have, I worked with grit. I worked with, like I say, passion, aggression, and I used everything within my book of knowledge, you know, to help me get this far, y'all. I worked too hard to let my past define me, you know, and it's all thanks to my precision, y'all. So remember this: never give up, stay loyal. If others are not like you, move yourself away from them, far away, never land away, because you don't want to change them. You want to be someone that's not like them, you know. People act the way they are because that's who they want to be in this life. You know, that's where Zero gets the term assholes by nature, because there are truly assholes in this world, y'all. But it is what it is, man. You still have the power to choose your reality. So live it up, man. But I'll see y'all in the next video, man. And this was your boy coming at y'all, man, with proficient, wise, and external knowledge, man. I'll see y'all in the next video, man.